I invite Professor Anand Srivastava to felicitate our panelists on the stage. Professor Anand Srivastava will felicitate Professor Krishna Singh, IIT Delhi. First. Sir, 1 minute, sir. He will now felicitate Professor Dov Green from Israeli Embassy. By name? Yeah. Thank you, sir. I request you to honor Ms. Maya Sherman. Maya. Thank you so much, sir. I also request him to felicitate Professor Gal Zohar from Israel. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, one more request. We have our alumni, distinguished alumni, Mr. Varun Aggarwal. Our Vice Chancellor will honor Mr. Varun Aggarwal from Aspiring Mind. Kindly felicitate Mr. Mayank Gupta. He is also our esteemed alumni. I invite, thank you so much, sir, thank you. I invite Professor Bhatia to felicitate Professor Shampa as a moderator to this great panel discussion. Professor Shampa. So it's my privilege to hand over this stage to Dr. Shampa to take it over. Thank you. Mics are there.
Hello, yeah. So, welcome all of you, my co-panelists, and the audience here to this panel discussion, and to our historic city, Delhi, with its beautiful parks. But it is undeniable fact that Delhi, like the global south, has got very unique problems. Some environmental problems, like the AQI crisis, some environmental, other infrastructural problems such as waste disposal and a slew of other such problems, and also community problems such as mass migration. And the question that comes to mind is, how does AI upgrade from just becoming a chat box to actually delivering on the streets of Delhi? Now, I have with me a distinguished panel of experts who happen to come from a diverse stream of backgrounds, and together we will see a few steps on what should be the roadmap towards achieving all our goals, towards making a city which is completely smart in all respects. So, on it? Hello? So in order to solve these pressing problems, my first question would be directed to Ms. Maya Sherman. Can you give us a direction in terms of policy? What should we do? Should academics, Indian academics, shape their AI research and also classroom teaching, the pedagogy, towards open AI, right, where we have access to worldwide data and the models, the internal states of the models? Or should we veer towards sovereign AI with guardrails and sandboxed API development for solving the indigenous problems? What should be our approach in terms of academic policy?
Thank you so much for this wonderful question. Again, hearty congratulations for NSUT for initiating this important discussion. Professor Anand, Professor Gore, Himanshu, dear colleagues, and of course very grateful for the Israeli delegation to be able to join us, and again additional panelists. It's wonderful to see again. This is a question that is pertinent not just in the Indian landscape, but I think most countries are asking today. On the one hand, we are still trying to see how we can, first of all, we want to see how we can connect academia to global data sets, meaning countries today do want to make sure that they are part of the international discourse. So OpenAI helps us in many aspects in this regard. We are aware of the potential of OpenAI. We're also aware of some of potentially, again, some of the obstacles that are coming with it. In the same time, it is a question of balance, if you're asking me. Countries are also trying to, as you were just saying, we want AI models to be able to cater for the Delhi streets, Tel Aviv streets. Countries need to build their own AI resilience and infrastructure, and academia is not siloed to this. Academia should also be able to have the international connectivity. We need to make sure that academia serves as a bridge. OpenAI helps us to do this, but in the same time, I also feel that national academia, and again, the way that countries are trying to currently build their infrastructure, they should also look on how they're strengthening their own assets. Meaning, we do need to have this national and social safeguards in place. And I'll give an example. You know, if I'm taking a comparison between Israel and India, great allies, wonderful countries, but very different. The needs of Israeli academia are very different than the needs of Indian academia. Right. India, linguistic diversity. We have more than 20 plus official languages, more than 900 non-official ones. Israel, we have much less. But in the same time, we are very small and still different social, cultural aspects that are characterizing Israeli nation. We are a country that is facing, again, different challenges, security challenges. Our academia needs to be resilient and be better adapted in times of crisis. And, you know, these are just, you know, two slight examples of the importance of the socio-cultural nuances. Right. And I believe OpenAI is a wonderful bridge for us between countries, but to be able for countries to build this kind of adaptation in academia, we need to make sure that sovereign AI is in place. We need to strengthen the models to make sure that academia, first of all, is open. And I think it's true for most of the AI discussions, balance is key. We cannot just do open AI alone. We need to make sure that academia has the nuance and the right measures and safeguards to be able to deal with this.
Right. Thank you so much, Maya. So balance is the key word, as she said, which means that in front of me, the young students and my students, we have to be adept both in open AI as well as in sovereign AI in order to move India forward and also march with the whole world. Now, we are in a unique situation, in a unique point of time in history where human beings are co-learning with machines. Probably machines are learning at an exponential rate as compared to us, which is linear or even sublinear. Under this situation, Varun, I would like to ask you the next question. That how should universities adapt their pedagogy and their assessment methods? You have been an expert. You have been an expert in assessment, developing assessment tools. So how do we modify our pedagogy as well as assessment methods to harness the power of AI as a sort of research assistant, which is helping us learn and even enabling open book evaluations, testing, you know, and examinations, for instance, rather than treating them as grounds for cheating? Yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me, ma'am. No, I think that's a very interesting question, right? And I think I'll go back to what Maya was saying, right? You need that balance, right? What we need to understand today is that the kind of AI we have, it is not trustable. It makes a lot of mistakes and hallucinations, does hallucinations and so on. So AI becomes very, very powerful in the hands of an expert user who's using the AI as a research assistant, who can see what it is doing wrong and then continue to prompt it to do the right things. And it becomes a really, really bad tool with someone who doesn't understand the domain area and is trying to use it to do something. So when we are thinking about assessments and also learning, we have to remember that there are some things today AI can do, but students need to learn that themselves. Because it's like a tower, right? So you have to, if you want to go on the top of the tower and be able to evaluate AI on things which it is not able to do and give it the right direction, first you need to climb the tower. So you still need to have your fundamentals right and you need to understand all the subjects from the basics. If you don't do it, you will not use AI optimally. In fact, it will be a disaster. So from that point of view, we still need the conventional methods of assessment, because if students don't know the basics, they will not be able to use AI well. Whereas at the same time, you also need students to be able to use AI to get to the next frontier, right? So a maxim, and this is an old maxim which says that AI can be better than humans, like playing chess, but both AI and humans become worse when it's a combination of AI and humans which come together, right? So if it's an AI plus human who's playing chess, whether there's AI on the other side or human on the other side, one at a time it will defeat it, right? So we have to give students the capability to be able to use AI to increase their superpowers. But first they have to build their superpowers, and then they need to be able to use AI to take them to the next level. So I think we have to cover both the assessment methods. We have to do the conventional assessments, but then also give them more open-ended problems and projects where they co-build with AI and show what is the future, what can they do above what we would normally do. So I think we have to do both.
That's a wonderful perspective, Varun. I really like the idea that we have to continue with our conventional assessment methods. So we are testing the fundamental logic as well as their ability to prompt the AI in a skillful manner. And especially probably there's another aspect to it that we have to, even though they learn much faster, but at the end of the day, we have to be able to see that they don't become rogue AIs or they don't go against human alignment. Yeah, so thank you very much, Varun. That gives a very good perspective. Professor Dove, Greenbaum, I would present two sides of the data domain. On one hand, universities are very flourishing, potent sources of data, especially learning data. So we have the notes, and we have professors' notes, and we have a lot of multimedia data also in the form of audio or video. And not only that, in India, typically we have a lot of mix of languages. So there is this vernacular information also present in our data. As an expert in the legal field, what do you feel? Should universities be copyrighting their learning data so that it can be tapped by the AI startups and innovators in learning domain and sort of incentivize its selling to innovators, to other innovators who are using this data, as well as the university students? Yeah.
So I think, first of all, thank you very much for having me here. I think that's a great point, and it goes to a number of questions that have already been raised. So number one, the value in using student data is clear. Student data has a lot of depth, a lot of value, a lot of quality to it that's very different than the AI slop that we see that's infected our internet and our social media. When you're thinking about sovereign AI systems, you also want to think about the value of the fear of homogenation, where all of AI across the world starts to sound very American. And it's underappreciated that I think the EU, with its EU Data Act, with the AI Act, was actually looking towards thinking about how do we avoid becoming just another, sounding just like Americans in our AI? How do we obtain that homogenation, run away from that homogenation of AI? And of course, looking to students here in India as a source of the Indian voice is something that could be exceedingly valuable. On the flip side, there actually already has been a case study in this. The University of Michigan actually started selling their student data, and they felt a huge backlash. People were very upset. People were very concerned. People were concerned about their privacy and the like. India has a privacy law that is on the way, or developing a privacy law, a data law that should be protecting student data. We have to be concerned about the legal issues with regard to consent. How do we obtain consent from students, from faculty? How do we devise sort of contractual terms of services between faculty and students to make sure that this is done legally and ethically? So while there is a lot of value in looking to student data as a very rich source, particularly here in India, a rich source of the Indian voice in data, we also have to be cognizant of the very many myriad legal issues that can come up. And of course, there's also sort of the optics. You know, does it look good for a university to say we're selling our students' data? That it particularly doesn't have the greatest optics. And so thinking about how to sort of thread the needle in this space is an interesting, complicated issue that demands more attention. I don't want to argue one way or the other whether or not it's a good thing to do or a bad thing to do. It's just a very interesting legal issue and an ethical issue, and a very sort of practical issue that can be very helpful but very hurtful at the same way. And of course, figuring out how to do it right is very important.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Dove. I mean, so you're trying to say that we can have a repository of our learning data, provided we follow the legal procedures of consent and anonymizing, and probably then we would be ready to, have an artwork that copyrights that material, and then we can actually, commercialize it.
Sure. I think as a legal issue, I think it's surmountable. As an ethical issue, as a PR issue, as an issue with, balancing the needs of India to have an Indian voice in AI versus the needs of students to feel that they are safe in what they're saying, that their data is protected and anonymous. That's a whole other issue that needs to be dealt with, but there is value in thinking about that issue.
So we need those ethics procedures in place before we go about it.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for giving us this direction. I would next like to seek your attention, Professor Krishna Sirohi. We would like universities to collaborate with each other to solve the various problems, some new use cases. But for that, we need a completely enhanced and different kind of telecommunication infrastructure. What are your thoughts on it? How do we enhance and upgrade our telecommunication infrastructure to foster collaborations between the universities? And there are plenty of central and state universities spread all across Delhi. Can we tap that potential in a collaborative manner?
Yeah, excellent question. Thanks for inviting me for this discussion. Normally, the telecom infrastructure is the responsibility of a public telecom service providers. And that investment and management strategies are driven by the revenue which is generated by these networks applications. Now, we as a country is trying to create new opportunities of developing solutions of our emerging needs. And solutions are not just papers. So solutions must be deployable solutions. And of the nature which do not exist anywhere in the world, which we can just go and copy. The solutions are emerging, needs are emerging. We are also not waiting for someone else to first develop and then we will copy it. So we want to do it in time. Now, academic power is something which can be ahead of a industry, and it could also be along with industry. So far we have experienced that industry drives such solution development activities. Academic research gives some support. Normally, the support which is provided may not be on a critical path. It is a kind of optional. If it comes and it adds to the value, it's fantastic. Even if it does not come, my solution is actually getting ready and being deployed, and I'll be able to earn the money out of this solution, and this is how the industry thinks. Right? Now the volume has increased of a new solutions demand, urgency is increased, and the energy which is there in this academic ecosystem that need to be brought into the right critical path of this solution development. Right. Now, if you're asking how this collaboration will happen, this collaboration would require a better understanding of these requirements and the methods of developing these solutions based on our own created data. That means there has to be a focus of generating a very worthy, large, rather much more granularity of a, better granularity of a data with low latency capabilities of this data, so that the real-time processes can be digitized and you can have a digital twin of everything what we are talking about. So if I can apply digital technology, and AI is kind of a digital technology which I want to leverage on. So if I want to create application opportunity of digital technologies, then I must create those devices, sensors, and a very smart communication infrastructure which picks up high-graded data and send it across to the central place where this need to be done, so that these applications can also be distributed. So something goes onto the device, on the edge, something on the network element. So this AI compute need to be distributed as a compute fabrics everywhere. Intelligence also need to be distributed as the intelligence fabrics, right? And in this entire model, universities need to position themselves as an entity to develop solutions ahead of a state of art, create their own prototypes in their campuses, and maybe multiple university campuses must collaborate and work together. And these devices, prototype devices, and the networks must be of the capability that we can define our problems and solve these problems ourselves. So this is the visualization I have. Maybe I can share more thoughts later.
Wonderful, Professor Krishna. So you're saying that there are problems such as latency, perhaps spectrum allocation. So all of them can be distributed, and we would, rather than going for the cloud, we go in for edge computing and a mixture of various, all these technologies to enable collaboration and as well as distributed computing, and then bringing it all together in a collaborative fashion. Is that the direction?
What I'm saying is that every institution, every university must have their own network.
Right.
Network of a latest capability, 5G advanced wireless networks or upcoming 6G advanced networks. Each institute must have sizable number of sensors, devices, IoT devices deployed them. They should have their own AI compute for running those applications, and all these captive installation of these network must be connected among each them.
I understand. So that is the architecture that we are looking forward to. Locally enhanced and capable communication infrastructures, and then connections between them. So I also believe that this presents a wonderful opportunity of federated learning, where each individual cluster of universities has their own models, and then they interchange they strip the sensitive personal data and perhaps, exchange with each other the parameters of the models, local models that they have developed. So that gives us an opportunity to do things in a collaborative manner where you're actually taking care of data protection also, this kind of an infrastructure that you're talking about. So thank you very much. And next, I believe, Mayank, I'll focus on the safety aspect now. So Mayank, what kind of steps should academia and industry take to ensure a culture of safety, AI safety, in corporations and in academia? Can you throw some light on that?
Sure, ma'am. My privilege to be on this panel. Thank you once again. I think I see a lot of students. I'm told PhD students are a part of the audience, so I'll try to answer so that they can appreciate. See, today everybody has access to AI, and right from ChatGPT to Claude to everything, we have access to AI, and I think we are privileged that we are part of universities like NSUT that also have the infrastructure much beyond what a generic person may have. A lot of you would have seen the movie Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. So you have a lot of power, you have a lot of resources, but we have to act in a responsible manner. Now, what is responsible manner and what is safety? If you look at RBI, the largest fintech regulator in the country, banking regulator, they have come up with a framework which is called FREE, F-R-E-E. That is a framework to govern how AI is created, used in the country. F is for fair, R is for responsible, E means explainable, and another E means ethical. So these are the four pillars of guidelines that RBI has given, which primarily are for the banking and financial services domain. But I think this same framework can be expanded and extended to any work or any industry or function in which you are trying to create an AI solution. That if your solution is true to these four aspects, then I think you are probably thinking in the right direction. So I think what academia needs to do is to instill this thought in the minds of the students who are going to build the AI for tomorrow, that it's not just important to use AI, but how do you use this ethically, responsibly, in a fair manner. That's important. I think one more narrative that is getting built today is that AI will eat up jobs. And since I'm in an august company of professors, I would like to mention a quote from a professor from Harvard Business School, Professor Karim Lakhani. He said that AI will not take away jobs. It is humans with AI who will take up the jobs of humans without AI. I'll repeat that. AI will not take away jobs. It is humans with AI who will take away the jobs of humans without AI. Now, what does it mean for a student today? It means for a student that whether you belong to computer science or electronics or manufacturing or automation or EV or civil, chemical, regardless of the stream in which you are trying to build your career, you cannot ignore AI. Gone are the days where a civil engineer would think that, okay, I am not a computer science engineer, so I don't need to learn coding. I think those days are over. Varun and I graduated 20 years ago, and I think in those times we could have avoided, coding. But today, of course, you don't need to code yourself, but you need to have that bent of mind that you are able to use AI to your advantage. Because today you are not competing just with your peer group. You are competing with a global set of talent, because you can apply to any job on the planet, but that also means that anybody on the planet can apply for the jobs which are in your local area or city. So you are competing with global talent, and therefore you have to build a mindset of embracing AI no matter what your function or stream is. So that's the second aspect of mindset which academia needs to create. And third, of course, is that I've seen a lot of student presentations or in various universities or even in incubation forums. A lot of ideas are, for the sake of it, I would use the word, maybe a strong word, but a lot of ideas are good to have. They don't really create a real impact. For example, if I am creating another chatbot, ma'am, you mentioned that AI should go beyond a chatbot. If I'm just creating another chatbot and creating a layer over an existing infrastructure, I'm not really creating an innovation. I'm just replicating an existing technology to be used in a different field. Some people are creating D2C startups where they are delivering organic food. I mean, this is good, but is it something that will change the world order? I think that bold thinking is something that our students need to do. Only when you think bold, you will act maybe 1/100th of that, and 1/100th of that bold thinking will actually come to the ground. But if your thinking itself is restricted to very low-hanging ideas, then probably that innovation will not be path-breaking, that innovation will not be changing the world order. So bold thinking is another aspect which academia should promote and let students, work on bold ideas, which are world-changing ideas. So yeah, that would be my couple of thoughts, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mayank. Mayank has brought about a very important point about job situation in the AI scenario, and we all know that we are very scared about the fact that AI has taken away a lot of jobs, some 70 million jobs it has taken away, but also it has created some 170 million new jobs. So it seems a very dynamic situation. So Professor Gal Zahar, I would direct the next question to you. In this scenario of a very super dynamic job market, where every few months there is a new job which goes off and there is a new job whose potential comes. So how do you think that academia should scale up to this new situation to ensure a steady state talent pipeline to go into the industry?
Thank you for having me here. First of all, there was a situation, still for many of us, that we go into the labor market at the age of 20 and live at the retirement age at the same place, the same work. With this dynamic, very, very dynamic labor market, things have been changing constantly. And we know that we'll switch jobs, we'll switch occupation probably, the way we work will change, and it's a very, very dramatic change. And this change, and that what we can follow, for instance, at the Israel Employment Services, for instance, is to see that there's a higher chances for many of us to be unemployed for a while, and to switch because of the very, very fast pace of the changes, which actually change the way the academy works. Because it's not just to go into school at the age of 20, 24, and that's it, and then you can learn throughout your lifetime. You need to learn more and more occasionally. So maybe the role of the academy in India and Israel and around the world is not just to give just this first time of understanding things and work with things, in how to, that there's a chances for our seniors to go back and to learn more. And there is something that we know, that there are two ways in which the academy should fit into the situation. One is to talk about more practice. How to use the tools, and the tools are changing, and principles, and even skills. On the other hand, the foundations is very, very important. We need to know how to ask questions. We need to be critics. We need to learn more things. We need to have the ability to allow us to learn more things, to analyze very smart in order to work with AI. AI is not just a separate entity from us. It's part of all of us. It's part of our work, every part of the way we work. And what we need to do is not just the academy to work alone, is to work with government entities like employment services, to have work with skills, reskilling, upskilling, all of the time. Some of us will do it alone. We know that we need, most of us, I think, know we need to upskill our abilities and skills and upgrade it all of the time. Not all the populations and groups know how to do that. We need to find ways to absorb this kind of conception with many, many more groups to be entered. And it's not just the academy alone, because the AI allows us to work with tools, and everyone talks about it's very easy to use it, and it's very practical, and then we need everyone to use that. So, but sometimes some of the groups won't do it alone, and we need to encourage them, and we need very specific programs in order to allow us, all of us, to learn more things, especially those disadvantaged groups that won't do it alone by themselves.
Thank you, Professor Zahar. So, in fact, our universities have a wonderful opportunity to offer courses for reskilling and upscaling other than the conventional programs that we offer, so that all of us actually follow the theme of continuous throughout life learning. And that opportunity should be tapped and put in place in the academic framework. So I have two questions, two very interesting questions, one for Professor Krishna and one for Professor Dove. We were talking of the job scare. Another scare is a disaster. a disaster which is actually initiated by AI, which turns rogue or which misaligns with human goals. Right. Do you think that we should have a digital twin of the entire infrastructure, the telecom infrastructure of a city along with its application in order to test the what-if situations and be ready for facing such a disaster, completely creating a sort of a catastrophe for the whole city?
Yeah, so this danger, I would say, is a valid danger. So there has to be preparedness to do that. And not only telecommunication network, but maybe many network like power grid is another network, right? So the way it is being done, that very, very detailed monitoring devices are being built and deployed into the network, which identifies any anomaly which is being created in the network functions. Now, degree of anomaly detection, that matters a lot. Some change will happen, will take few hours to get manifested properly. That is one way of detecting the anomaly, right? And this anomaly you can detect maybe in few microseconds, in few milliseconds.
Using
right?
AI.
So now if you, so measurement is the key. Communication in a real time with low latency is another important capability. And then apply AI to do that online, real time analysis on that so that you don't miss any prominent anomalies. Now these are the mandatory needs of us to remain sustainable. So the question is whether it is needed. Yes, it is needed. Can it be done? Yes, there are ways of doing it. Is it already done? No. Lot more need to be done. So the examples are already there. Some people have done few things in some pilots. These pilots are in a stage to scale up, and let's learn from these pilots and collaborate and review that what is still not covered in it, so I will do that. So this is the kind of urgent collaboration I visualize.
Yeah, once again, we are talking of collaboration and the need to be together to face some disaster, some kind of a disaster like that. And Professor Dove, I'm interested in AI-assisted law. AI-assisted law, is it a valid option? Is it a possibility? Or do you think that can actually change the basic jurisprudence? And how do we, closely related to this, how do we change maybe the courseware or the syllabi for law as well as for engineering and other degrees we also learn ethics so as to incorporate AI ethics in it? So actually, I'm sorry, but there are two questions to it. One is the dangers or the possibility of AI-assisted law, and how do we change our courses on ethics to spread this awareness about AI safety?
Okay, well, there's a lot. I want to initially, though, push back on the premise of the previous question, and I'll get into the AI and law. The idea that AI is a disaster waiting to be happened is, I think, an unfair characterization that we as a people generally have, fed in part by Hollywood and Bollywood and this idea that AI is always on the verge of wiping out humanity, always on the verge of killing us. And I think, a lot of it is storytelling, a lot of it is sort of this Frankenstein mentality that's embedded as part of our culture. And I think it goes into your next question in terms of, can we incorporate AI into our legal system and into our legal education? And to that end, I think that definitely yes. But one of the things that's holding us back is also sort of this presumption that we have that AI is somehow different than us. And this idea that you know, we need to have AI that's explainable and fair and things like that. We don't hold ourselves to the same standard. We don't demand from our judges that first thing in the morning they tell us, how are you feeling? Did you get into a fight last night? Did your team lose at cricket? We don't demand that of our judges, and yet we're demanding that of our AI when we're asking for explainability. We're not asking our judges for the same sort of thing. That said, AI has a place both in the practice of law and in the administration of law. AI, you know, there are issues that we always talk about, issues of bias and fairness and explainability, but those are technical issues that ultimately can be dealt with. There are horrible use cases where AI has been used and abused in the area of law, and of course those are technical hurdles that can be overcome. In the application of AI in ethics, I definitely agree with you in terms of the idea that we need to incorporate AI ethics into our education, be that law or engineering or whatever. We need to, but most importantly, I think what's a problem in our current educational system, regardless of what country we're dealing with, is this idea of siloed education, that, you know, the ethics people live on one side and the engineering people live on the other side, and never the twain shall meet. And I think it's very important that we break down those silos and we allow this sort of dialogue between the ethicists and the legal people and the engineers, and allow sort of this to flourish throughout the academia, and not have everything siloed where if I have an ethical question, I go and I ask the ethicist. No, the engineer should be trained in AI ethics, the doctor should be trained in AI ethics, the lawyer should be trained in AI ethics. It's a fundamental issue that we see in our society. It's an emerging technology that needs to be dealt with in a responsible manner, and it's up to our academic institutions to be at the forefront of that service.
Thank you very much, Professor Dove. So that once again talks of the fact that we have to work together, and the case for AI to be part of every discipline's courseware. Varun, maybe just one line or so on what you think about how do we change our academic curricula so that AI becomes a subject of each and every discipline, so that we all understand each other, as Professor Dove mentioned. Maybe we all need to work together to come to that, you know.
Sure. No, and you know, I think Mayank already spoke about this, right? AI is becoming now a horizontal skill, right? Like at some point, you know, computer programming, being able to use computer became a horizontal skill. That means that you might be in any profession. If you know how to operate a computer, you would be paid more and be more employable. Then at some point, computer programming became a horizontal skill, right?
So,
like when G took its managers and said, we'll only hire managers who know coding, right? So
Right.
now AI has become a horizontal skill. That is not that everyone needs to know how to build models, but everyone needs to know how to use AI effectively
Right.
for their subject matter. And you know, it's a highly dynamical field, right? Like ma'am, you were saying that things have been changing like at a pace we have never seen before. So what is the solution in such times? Of course, we have to introduce AI, but when I was at MIT, you know, they said that the main skill you need to teach is learning how to learn, right? And so I think what is happening is, in fact, is that the pressure of skills on everyone is increased now. It's not good enough to learn a topic and say that, okay, what is also happening in AI is that when you are jobs which need your skills in just one area, or it's a narrow task, they are all getting automated. The tasks which are not getting automated is where they are more complex tasks. You need to be moving on more than one field, using more than one skill, and so on. So I think we have to do more project-based learning, more open-ended learning. The narrow tasks of write a computer program for this thing is solved, right? Answer this question is solved. So I think across domains, we have to go more towards project-based, open-ended kind of problems, and teach people how to learn, because they'll keep up to learning new things.
Thank you so much. And we have had a wonderful discussion, sort of some ideas on what should be the roadmap towards, yes, making AI more effective, more helpful, more beneficial to the entire humanity, and especially to our local problems. I would like to invite anybody from the audience to interact with our panelists for maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, before we conclude.
Hello, yeah. So, good morning, esteemed panelists. So, this question, it has been a very enriching discussion, lots of ideas. This particular question is to all of you distinguished professors of universities. I will go back to what Varun mentioned, the assessment procedure. So he said that we need to assess students on the conventional concepts as well as we need to assess them on the conventional aspects also, the building blocks of the knowledge. Now, at the same time, we all agree that we need to produce a skilled workforce in AI to take up the countries and challenges and provide solutions to the problems. Now, universities are offering a number of courses to take care of that. We are offering a lot of courses in AI and machine learning and Internet of Things and ethics to take care of this aspect. Now, one question which comes to my mind and for which I feel, at times I feel kind of held up, that while AI is a fantastic technology and we want our students to embrace it, and at the same time we also say that conventional concepts they should learn. Now, I look forward to a hybrid framework where the conventional teaching learning process we need to integrate with AI assistive technology and tools which we want to teach our students. So I want the esteemed panelists to throw some light on how much of the percentage of this AI and conventional should be mixed and integrated to give me a framework. Obviously, the conventional framework has now outgrown to give out to some hybrid kind of a framework where there has to be conventional techniques as well as AI assistive technology. We cannot give a free hand to all students to use the tools. We all have experienced that it can create havoc. So how much and where should we limit to their practicals, assignments, and how can we keep a check, and how much of conventional and in what way the conventional techniques have to integrate with the AI tools.
Okay.
So I want some
Okay,
of you
can I
to-
invite
some of
somebody
you
to sum it
throw-
up in 1 minute? We are it's very interesting and it's a very thing that we all of us want to question.
It's
Ek
from
minute
the-
mein
Sure.
bata dijiyega.
Maybe because we are short on time, I'll give a quick answer. There's a graphic designer in my team. He's been doing graphic designing for 10 years. A few months back, he wanted to change the website of my company because he had some new ideas. So he created the design of the new website. And now he asked me that, okay, allot me either resources or cost to build this website. I want front-end engineers, back-end engineers to build the website. I told him, no, I don't have bandwidth, either resources or money, I don't want to invest. Why don't you learn AI and build the website yourself? He actually took up the challenge, and in a matter of 6 weeks, he was ready with the new website of the company. And he was able to publish this on the server himself, all by learning AI on his own. In fact, if you go to my company's website, the website today that is live, it is actually built by a person who has never studied engineering. He has never opened a book of code. He does not know what's the difference between C++ and Python. But he still was able to do it because he had a strong intent. So from my perspective, which I can say is the industry perspective, conventional will always win when it comes to academia, because conventional knowledge is the fundamental of any experienced professional. But the appreciation of new technology and the ability to incorporate AI in the way you operate, I think that's more critical. And it cannot be taught. It has to be an emotion. It has to be a culture of the organization, of the academy, of the university, that you have to instill in the mind of students that if you are an art student, if you are an artist, you should know how to embed AI in the way you create art. If you are a scientist, how do you embed AI in the way you do innovation? If you are a computer programmer, how do you embed AI in the way you write code? That appreciation is more important. So I would say it is 99% convention, 1% the intent that you have to create. That would be my answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Professor Davia, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just want to say that we look around at each other here, and none of us would have thought 5 years ago that we'd be sitting in a conference on AI a worldwide summit on AI. I ran a conference on AI maybe 10 years ago, and it was boring. Right? AI was not exciting. AI was just, it was in another winter, and there was nothing exciting going on. And I think we need to be careful in terms of following into a trap and thinking, a particular technology is going to be here forever, and it's not going to be usurped by some other technology that we can't even think about today in 5 years from now. So I think when we're thinking about how do we teach our students, and we shouldn't be teaching to the technology. For example, I ran a prompt workshop last year for my students, teaching them how to write prompts for ChatGPT, for chatbots and the like. And I think at this point, it's a useless tool because the technology has advanced such that that's no longer necessary. The AI has advanced that we don't need to learn how to write prompts anymore. That's already done by the AI itself. And so we need to be very careful in terms of thinking about how to teach our students about AI and how to advance students about AI. We need to think not about AI, but about emerging technologies. And when we're thinking about emerging technologies, we want to think about projects. We want to think about working together in groups. We want about thinking about solving problems. We want about thinking about teaching students skill sets that are technology agnostic, that regardless of whatever the latest and greatest technology is going to be 5 years from now, that the students are therefore prepared. Whether it's AI, whether it's quantum, whether who knows whatever it is, we need to be careful not to fall into the trap of focusing on the AI and AI technology that we have today in terms of teaching our students for tomorrow. So thank you.
Thank you.
We should have more project-based and case-based projects and studies, where AI could be applied after teaching the conventional things.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. And I find a lot of young students from schools, at least one or two of you can just come forward and ask some questions. Come along. Yes? The young students from school and our freshers.
Good afternoon, respected panel members. So I have this very non-conventional question of mine, considering that the most inclusive type of AI is generative AI, that part of the humanity it's available for a lot of people, and generative AI uses a lot of water, considering that UN has just announced that the world has entered a new era of water bankruptcy. So how do you think we could use generative AI but save the water for the upcoming future generation too? Like, be sustainable with the generative AI usage?
Sure. So that's a very interesting point. So for example, Elon Musk's new Colossus factory in Memphis, Tennessee, supposedly uses a billion gallons of water, whatever a gallon is in metric, I don't know, a billion gallons of water daily. And that seems like a lot of water, but in reality, our social media use, our Google search use, even our consumption of meat is on the same level in terms of the usage of water. So, it's always an interesting question to suggest, that, our usage of AI will consume our world resources, but we always have to think about, how do we frame this to see sort of it in context. So oftentimes, actually, the AIs and the GPUs aren't consuming the same amount of water that we do think is happening. But to the same degree, we do have to think about new energy resources, how to fix our grids so that we can incorporate renewable energies, nuclear power and the like into powering our AI, and not be concerned about those sorts of areas of technology, because those are sort of the ways that we can power our AI in a clean and useful fashion. I don't know, Elon Musk recently announced that he has combined XAI and space in a space company to put data centers in outer space, because that will consume less water and less heat and less energy. So there's a lot of sort of thought process in there. I think it's important, though, to think about, when we're thinking about how much of our environmental resources we're consuming with AI, we should also be cognizant of the fact that everything that we do in our life consumes environmental resources, including, social media and the like. And so we can't just shut down AI because it's consuming water. We need to think of better ways to do that, and we need to think about renewable energy resources in order to do that in a better fashion.
Thank you, Professor Dove. Yeah, you also wanted to ask something? Can you repeat that question? Your name is? Mike, probably you haven't put on the mic.
Sorry, hi. I'm Snigdha. Thank you for the lovely panel. I was wondering, given that Israel and India both have such a huge role in ethno-nationalist conflict, what is the sort of role that academia has in ensuring responsible use and ethical use of AI, especially when AI is used every day in militarization? Thank you.
Yeah, so a lot of our conversation has veered around ethics. So I think one of the panelists can really talk about this. Yes, Professor Zahir, your inputs, please.
We think that there are a few roles for the academia, and it is to understand the history, to ask the right questions, to make sure to understand the history, and in order to do so, we all face conflicts, and we need to find the ways to work with the conflicts, but at the same time to understand what happened in the history, what kind of how to use that smartly, and to make sure that all of the people will enjoy the benefits of AI, because we think it's very important. It's changed the world in that sense, and we just need to find the best way in order to find the right way to move between all parts of the pros and cons of this technology.
Snigdha, you raised a very pertinent point. In fact, ethics is so important because the machines learn from us. If we are not ethical, ultimately a day will come when the machines will turn unethical and go against us. Right? That's called the treacherous turn. The AI actually, trying to vanquish the human race is a distinct possibility under such a circumstance through data poisoning. So if all of us are, most of us remain in the unethical domain, not just academics, everywhere, parents, your relatives, your friends, ultimately the poisoned data will get into the stream of AI and sort of make them go against humanity. So it's a very pertinent question, and therefore, right from school, right from primary school, teachers should, not just university teachers, but school teachers should also focus on all-round ethical behavior. Thank you, Snigdha, for that question. And that brings an end to, we have discussed upon so many issues, and we have discussed on disaster, we have discussed on the legal aspects, the assessment, and the skills gap and how to cover it. There are many issues that need to be tackled yet, the problem of brain drain, the problem of digital divide. Those are the questions, and I'm sure your brains are starting to tick. Please refer back, learn more about all these issues, and that's the exact objective of this panel discussion. With that, I thank all my panelists once again, and it's really been great having all of you and a great audience too.
So now thank you to our esteemed panelists for transforming us from theory to concrete strategy. Thank you so much, everyone. Group photo we will have with our faculty members also, with the panelists, because there is one more schedule is there. So, but innovation discussions must ultimately show proof. We now shift from talking to demonstration. The NSUT STPI Innovation Showcase highlights startups that embody what this session stands for, research translated into real solutions. So now today we present our startups. First, Logify 360, winner of recent hackathon which happened by Delhi government. And then Kinsey will present his innovation. Both the ventures are, actually founders are available here. These ventures represent the new AI native entrepreneurship emerging from academic ecosystems. Let us see AI not as aspiration but as application. So I invite Logify 360 to present his innovation in 1 or 2 minutes, and then Kinsey will come on stage to present his innovation. I will request all PM Shri school children to remain in this hall. We will have a group photograph after this presentation with our esteemed panelists and NSUT faculty members. Scholars available here. Please, all of you don't go out of this hall. Very important aspect is left for listening. There are two real-time innovators available. Please be seated. We will have discussion. So all PhD scholars, fast, please come on stage. All PM Shri school children, please be seated.
Sense of the data that we share with the AI models. So be it any platform, be it ChatGPT, be it anything. So what we are trying to build here is one particular platform where you bring the entire company, all your application within that umbrella, and we monitor the entire usage of AI models as well. So that includes the security monitoring, the usage monitoring, the traceability part. So let's say tomorrow you shared some data which shouldn't be really shared with the AI models. So that's a drastic leak when it comes to the SMEs or the customers or the companies at that level. So what we are trying to build here is the platform where you monitor the services, you monitor the LLM usage, you monitor security, everything under one single umbrella, and it's a very easy plug-and-play model. Behind the scene, this entire platform is built upon AI. So this is something like an AI, keeping an AI on all your AI models you are using across your company. So that is what we are building up here. And we are already running pilot programs here with certain global customers as well. And we are in the development stage, but we have specific models which are already live and ready to use as well. So that is what Logify 360 is all about.
Thank you. And congratulations for winning your prize in the Yuva Festival. So you will soon get your prize money. So now I invite Kinsey for presentation.
My name is Chandan. In today's world, like we adults are using AI to create code, to build design, to create apps and whatnot, right? What about kids? What about all of, many kids? Still many of you are just watching videos, consuming a lot of content, right? So the problem is, if AI is becoming the builder tool for the whole world, for adults, what about kids? Like, why shouldn't be the builder tool available for kids, right? And that is where we built Vibe Coding platform for kids, right? This is between age 6 to 14. And in fact, many of you, I can see that you can definitely go on Play Store, App Store, and you can start installing Kinsey and see what this app is all about. In my deck, there was a demo as well, so I can't show you the demo here, but yeah, definitely you can try with the app. What it does, in simple, right, you go on ChatGPT, you go on Claude, you type some prompt, and it generates some content for you, right? What about learning games? What about games? What about stories? What about videos, right? Just go there, whatever ideas you have in your mind, right? Say, for example, I want to reduce pollution for Delhi. What can be the path for that? Can you build a game around it, right? So this whole product is all about, can you create those games? Can you create those learning games? Can you create those stories around that so that you can build the creativity among you and you're also generating a lot of other stuffs. What about parents of those kids? They are getting, a lot of the educational apps are promoting learning outcomes. But we don't only give learning outcomes, we also give development outcomes, right? If you're creative, it will also give you creative quotient, right? It will also tell you the transfer skills, like if you're learning from one game, can you transfer that skill to the other game creation, right? So the whole world is moving towards creative, and we as new generation, we children, we should not be moving more towards consumption. We should be moving towards, creating new stuff. And trust me, lot many kids have created few stuff. You can see I don't know, it's not visible here. But yeah, I would love to, you guys to install the app and create whatever games you want to create. Okay, thank you.
So thank you so much to our innovators. He is from IIT BHU, incubated in NSUT, IIF through SISF. You have showcased how academic incubation can translate into scalable impact. As we move forward closer, it is important that today's deliberations do not remain within the walls. We now invite Professor MPS Bhatia, Dean FICT, to present closing reflections and outline the proposed Delhi AI academic industry Action Charter 2026.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of NSUT and STPI, I thank everybody for attending this panel discussion. First of all, let me thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor for a wonderful keynote address. When he finished the keynote address, I thought there is nothing for a panel discussion, but there are a lot of things which provoke panel people to discuss on that. So let's give a big round of applause to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Anand Srivastava. And then next came the panel discussion. We had Professor Shampa, who took charge of panel discussion as a moderator. A wonderful panel discussion with people from academia, people from entrepreneurship, having their own startups. Excellent panel discussion. Let's thank the moderator, Professor Shampa Chakravarti, and panel members. Then we have an organizing team, which is led by NSUT, IIF, and Center of Excellence. Let's give a big round of applause to Center of Excellence team and NSUT, IIF. I want to keep all these things on record. And then again, we had people who attended this workshop for this panel discussion. We had all the PhD scholars. Let's give a big round of applause to all the PhD scholars, faculty members, and then the students from PM Shri Sector 12, Dwarka, right? Let's give a big round of applause. They have traveled 2 hours to come to this place. They are all science students. Let's hope most of them get admitted in any of the universities, in Delhi universities. We'll like you don't go out of Delhi and stay back in Delhi and learn more things here at NSUT and other university. And we have with us Vishala. Also Vishala has left probably, Grand AI Initiative. So we have a lot of things. I will take a minute to close this. We discuss AI impact. We discuss about responsible AI, and then the framework and all that. So there are a lot of things which needs to be done throughout this academia industry interaction. So we have to build up the infrastructure around AI. This is the first thing for which most of the universities have already started building up AI infrastructure. And inter-university tie-up has to happen. With this, the university, NSUT, has already taken the lead to having a MOU with other universities of Delhi, as well as R&D organization, as well as industries. Then is manpower development. For manpower, reskilling and the skilling has to happen, which already the university has taken lead, as well as in Delhi. The funds are already allocated by Government of Delhi to really do skilling in AI. Again, for school education, again, there are several schools where recently Government of Delhi has allocated a huge money in this budget for setting up the labs of AI labs in all the schools of government schools. For the universities, the government has already given the money for establishing this labs here, as well as MIT has given fund, will be giving fund to all the states, as well as in Delhi, we are the one institute, and there is another institute which is going to get fund for establishing AI center at our place. Then is what else is required is having a framework for, say, responsible AI, ethical AI, those things. Again, yesterday there was a document which was released by UNESCO, which is on their website, which will be available soon, which is called as a RAM, a framework for seeing what can be done as a ethical thing related to AI, which will be available to all of us for related to this. Then there are several other things which we need to see to it. The action needs to be taken. We need to take a lot of action on certain other things also, for which the university as a NSUT has already taken a lead in research projects and all that. So with these words, I end this AI impact session, panel discussion, which was a wonderful. I again, on behalf of NSUT, let's thank whole of the students who have come far away and all the attendees for this session. Thank you, everybody.